How to make school cake. An absolute classic, definitely best served with some custard, and one of my absolute favorite things to make. So I thought today I would make a slightly smaller version of my school cake. And I'm just starting off with some baking spread and some caster sugar in a bowl. And then you just want to make sure that these are combined until they're nice and creamy and there's like no lumps of butter. Then you're going to break in your eggs. I always use medium. Like always with a cake like this, I break my eggs into a separate bowl, then pour it in just to prevent sort of any shell getting in a large amount of cake mix. I then have my self-raising flour. Just gonna pour that in. No, I don't sieve it. And then as an optional extra, I'm also gonna add in some vanilla extract. And then again, you want to mix this until combined. You don't want to over mix it, so keep an eye on it, but I find this method of creaming the butter and the sugar, then adding all of the eggs, flour and flavorings the best way. I've always done it this way, and I find I get a really lovely fluffy cake still. So I now have a 9-inch square tin, which I've just lined with paper and used bulldog clip method to line it, but it's just a tray. The recipe on my blog typically uses a 9 by 13-inch tray bake tin because that's the classic sort of size. But again, I'm just making a smaller version because I only want 9 decent sized pieces out of this. You just want to make sure that you spread the cake mix to all of the edges until even. I'm then going to bake this in my preheated oven at 160 fan for about 35 minutes. It's less baking time as it's a slightly smaller dish. So I'm just going to bake it now and then I'll show you what it's like at the end. So here we have the baked and cooled sponge. As you can see, it's nice and even, deliciously golden, and we're just gonna make the simple topping. And I already have a lot of icing sugar in a bowl, and all I'm gonna do is slowly add a little bit of water at a time to make a really thick paste. You don't want to add too much water because you want it to stay nice and thick so it sets. As you can see, it's lovely and thick here, so this is perfect. So I'm just gonna pour the icing on top of the sponge, and then I'm just gonna carefully spread it. Now this is where you can basically use any sprinkles that you want. I'm just gonna use my favorite sprinkles as always, and you can add as many or as little as you want. It's entirely up to you. I literally just sprinkle them over. And there you have it with the icing and sprinkles on top. And I tend to leave this to set for a little while just because I want the icing to firm up. But make sure you let the icing set, and then of course you can enjoy a giant piece of school cake. Now that the icing has set, I'm just peeling off parchment paper. It's just an absolute classic and I love it. And there you have the delicious school cake. One of my favorite things to make ever.